Hi guys, it's Biohacking Adam here and welcome in our third episode of Biohacking Podcast. Today we will talk about functional mushrooms and how great it can support us with exercise, with cognitive functions and with whole general body performance. I'm today with Amy, a nutritionist and specialist with functional mushrooms, working for great company, doTERRA. Hi Amy. How are
Hi,
you?
Adam. I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be here. Together, we're going to explore how functional mushrooms like Cordyceps sinensis, Reishi, and lion's mane can help you feel energized, recover faster, boost your cognitive function, and even support your immune system. So let's get started.
Wow, absolutely. Amy, so we've got beginning of 2025 and I think it's perfect time to set up some ambitious goals, get some amazing challenge to complete. And basically what we need to do, we need to increase our recovery. Likewise, we need to increase our performance. And I believe also mental resilience, because that all coming together. And mushrooms at the moment become like a hot topic, and I believe they can help a lot.
Yeah, definitely. They can definitely support athletic performance. It's a great question. Functional mushrooms like those developed by doTERRA are gaining more attention by athletes because they offer natural support for performance and recovery after exercise. So, for instance, the Cordyceps sinensis mushroom in particular is very useful for boosting energy production at a cellular level and also by improving lung function. So these can really help to support the recovery after exercise for athletes, and it can also support athletes to adapt to the physical and mental stress of intense exercise as well.
Okay, so let's break that down. How does Cordyceps can improve our energy and likewise endurance?
Yeah, so Cordyceps works by enhancing the amount of adenosine triphosphate production or ATP production, and this is the energy that powers our cells. So clinical studies have shown that Cordyceps can improve the efficiency of the mitochondria, helping our muscles to perform better during workouts, and it also helps us to recover much faster afterwards. So athletes who have taken Cordyceps sinensis have reported reduced feelings of mainly fatigue, especially during high intensity or long duration activities like marathons or triathlons. So it can be really helpful for endurance.
Wow, that sounds very helpful. Did doTERRA have like a research to prove all this?
Yeah, actually, doTERRA has some research in professional cyclists. So the cyclists were supplemented with doTERRA's concentrated extracts of Cordyceps and Reishi for 3 months prior to their cyclist race. And actually, the results were incredible. So mainly, testosterone levels rose in the cyclists who were supplemented with Reishi and Cordyceps extracts by 86%. This was prior to their race, but get this, post-race, their testosterone rose by 250% compared to baseline levels. So that's huge.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Such a big difference. And of course, these levels were significantly higher in comparison to the placebo cyclists. So in the control group where they had a placebo, they only experienced a rise of 28% increase in testosterone before their race and only 30% afterwards. So if you compare 30% afterwards to 250%, there's such a big difference there in testosterone levels.
Wow, that sounds great because I completed in my life 2 marathons so far and quite a lot of half marathons. I completed like Spartan Beast, so I know that long running and actually long trainings can really lower down our testosterone. So that really sounds amazing. Yeah.
Definitely. And in addition, the cyclists who were supplemented with the Cordyceps and the Reishi extracts also had a reduced amount of the pre and post-race salivary cortisol levels. So their cortisol was reduced by 21% before the race and by 77% after it. And this actually means that there was a much better cortisol and testosterone ratio in the Hephaestus group compared to the controls who had a placebo. And this actually indicates that there was less exercise-induced fatigue and that actually the cyclists were better able to recover faster after the race.
Amazing. That definitely very, very important tip and biohack for you guys to try. Please, could you explain what is actually cortisol and testosterone ratio, please?
Yeah, no problem. Well, cortisol is a steroid hormone and it is released by the adrenal cortex in the HPA axis in response to stressors, and that can include intense physical activity. So cortisol is actually considered the main catabolic hormone. For instance, it can reduce protein synthesis, which isn't a good thing. It can increase the protein degradation in the body, and it also hinders our immune response. So actually in high amounts, it can make you more vulnerable to infections. So what the testosterone and cortisol ratio is actually an index for the body's anabolic activity. So a decrease in this ratio suggests a catabolism, whereas an increase suggests an anabolism in the body, and a moderate decrease in the testosterone and cortisol ratio is actually considered quite normal after workouts. But if there is a decrease of over 30%, this is considered as an overtraining risk. So the term overtraining defines an imbalance between the oxidative stress, which is generated by training and by the workout load, and then the athlete's ability to recover from that oxidative stress. And actually, the inability to recover within 72 hours after a workout is considered a sign for overtraining syndrome. And apparently this affects up to 65% of athletes at the peak of their professional career. So it can really hinder their training and their progress. So by improving the ratio balance, by boosting testosterone in comparison to cortisol, using Cordyceps and Reishi extracts, it does suggest that we can prevent overtraining syndrome, allowing athletes to train much harder and more frequently. And also, it was really interesting to see in this study that there was an increase in the free radical scavenging capacity in the blood of those who were supplemented with the Cordyceps and the Reishi extracts. And this actually proves that the mushrooms have a really high antioxidative effect. And this helped to protect the athletes against oxidative stress from the workout, from the training. This also helps to support the recovery after exercise.
Yes, wow. And I believe for me, recoveries is our superpower, and basically a recovery is also as a second workout. So that balance between can really increase our energy and help us to achieve those goals. Is there any difference between Cordyceps, and could you explain us how Cordyceps grow?
Yeah, absolutely. There are different types of Cordyceps, and unlike other brands which commonly use a novel food type of Cordyceps called Cordyceps militaris, Hephaestus actually grows the authentic Tibetan Cordyceps sinensis CS4 strain. So this strain is superior, and it's also much higher in the active biomolecules compared to militaris. But Cordyceps sinensis is very difficult to grow and mass produce because it naturally grows in the wild from insects or caterpillars. So Hephaestus have designed a way to cultivate Cordyceps sinensis from a vegan culture medium. So they use algae and they actually have to carefully control and mimic the natural growth environment of the Himalayas where it would naturally grow. So they do have to control the temperature, but also the humidity. And by cultivating Cordyceps sinensis, this does result in a very high level of the active ingredients in the Cordyceps, which give all of the medicinal mushrooms to the person that's taking it. So you have a higher amount of the cordycepin, you've also got a higher amount of ergosterol and also a higher amount of adenosine. And what we have with Hifastotera is actually the best Cordyceps sinensis extract available on the market.
Wow, okay. Can you tell us a bit more about biomolecules in Cordyceps, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cordyceps sinensis is noted for its high content of cordycepin. This is the main bioactive molecule in Cordyceps and responsible for many of its therapeutic benefits. So studies show that Cordyceps sinensis also contains ergosterol, and this is actually a source of vitamin D2. But it also contains adenosine, and this is a nucleoside which plays an important role in the biochemical process of generating energy in the form of ATP. So we need adenosine to generate adenosine triphosphate in the body. And this is really how Cordyceps can help with boosting adenosine triphosphate production, and the reason why Cordyceps is known as the energizing mushroom.
Wow, it sounds very fascinating actually, but it's so much benefits. And is a cordyceps, because of all those benefits, consider like doping for professional athletes?
No, this is the great thing about Cordyceps sinensis. It's 100% safe and it's considered a non-doping substance. So this is actually a highly effective food supplement for supporting athletic performance. Unfortunately, at Hifastotera, it's not on the informed supplements list yet, but we do plan to get it registered on there this year. So that's really good.
Oh yes, that's absolutely fascinating, but I think I'll get some information about cordyceps that can really improve our lung health and also increase our VO2 max. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So cordyceps has been shown to increase oxygen uptake and utilization in the body. And a study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that participants taking cordyceps had significantly improved VO2 max levels. So VO2 max is a measure of how efficiently your body uses oxygen, and this is invaluable for athletes aiming to improve stamina and lung function. Also, at the annual meeting of the American College of Sports Medicine, researchers presented a study showing that Cordyceps sinensis, the CS4 strain, when supplemented for 6 months, resulted in an increase in the maximal oxygen consumption and the anaerobic threshold in older individuals. And this is an effect that could contribute to overall exercise capacity and fatigue resistance during exercise. And in other research, in a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled study, which was conducted in 131 healthy sedentary males and female volunteers, they were aged between 40 to 70 years old. And what this study found was the exercise capacity, their endurance, and their exercise-related metabolic changes when they were measured before, midway through, and then at the end of the 12 weeks of Cordyceps CS4 supplementation, they actually had a 5.5% increase in the maximal oxygen consumption. So they had a 5.5% increase in VO2 max.
Wow.
Yeah, in the supplemented group. And that was compared to just only a 2.2% in the control group. And this suggests that Cordyceps sinensis increases aerobic exercise capacity. So the time taken to reach VO2 max increased by 4.1% in this study as well. So this does indicate increased physical strength for aerobic exercise. And there was also, matched with this, an increase in the endurance performance and a reduction in fatigue.
Great. Yeah, actually, this is a great part of this podcast because this is a good point. Training hard and also making our immune system weaker, basically, and that's, I think, is quite a big problem when we have that intensive workouts. also we have to go to work and we've got much more of our duties during the day. So I believe that Cordyceps and I think Reishi as well is really good, yes, to join them to mushrooms and have some super recovery benefits.
Yeah, definitely. This is a really good point. So both Cordyceps and Reishi are really powerful adaptogens for our immune system. They not only improve energy levels, but they also provide natural antiviral support, and they modulate the immune system because of their content of beta-D-glucans. So Hephaestus have a supplement with both the reishi and the cordyceps extracts, and when you combine these two together, you have that combined immune supporting and antiviral effect of those two mushrooms, and this can be really helpful for respiratory tract infections, which could otherwise derail training progress.
So the increasing VO2 max and the reducing fatigue is very important for athletes, but I believe that is also so important for post diseases and basically post viral infection recovery. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Research suggests that a cordyceps supports immune modulation and can aid the recovery from post-viral fatigue by boosting energy production and also oxygen delivery. So Hephaestus cordyceps extract has been studied for its role in aiding recovery and also building resilience post-infections. It actually helped to reduce respiratory distress and fatigue in Hephaestus long COVID study. So this is really important. And actually, the great thing about mushrooms is their content of beta-D-glucans. They contain the 1-3 and 1-6 chain of beta-D-glucans. Now, you may have heard about these before, but they actually work by binding with receptors on our immune cells, and they help with the immune system function thereafter. So they'll boost the proliferation of T lymphocytes, and they'll also support natural killer cell activity. But the other great thing about cordyceps in particular is it not only has those beta-D-glucans, it also contains cordycepin, and this can actually interfere with how viruses replicate. So it may be really useful for speeding up the recovery from viral infections, but also to prevent future viral infections as well.
Sure. This is a good point because sometimes like that heavy intensive workouts can lower our immune system. So I believe it is a great way to help our immune system recover faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So cordyceps and reishi are both powerful adaptogens for our immune system. They not only improve our energy levels, but they also provide that natural antiviral and immune supporting balancing benefit. And Hephaestus have a supplement with both reishi and cordyceps sinensis extracts. So when you're combining both of these together in one supplement, you have the immune supporting and antiviral properties of both of those mushrooms to prevent respiratory tract infections that could otherwise hinder or derail training progress.
Great, so much information. Okay, so then another question, is about that mental fatigue. And especially like when it's the big day of competition. And I believe that is something what we all going through and how to deal with it at best. Is a cordyceps good for it? And
So yes, training can be difficult for our body to recover from, but actually competing can be really stressful, and we have to think about supporting our mental health and well-being to deal with that kind of stress. And actually, reishi and cordyceps are two fantastic mushrooms for our mental emotional health, and they actually help to support our adrenal glands, which are often under strain during high stress periods like competitions. So reishi in particular has a wonderful calming effect, and it can really help to reduce anxiety and stress, and it's also very helpful for sleep. And this is really crucial for both mental clarity, but also for recovery as well after exercise.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Okay, can we switch now a little bit into that mental performance and how to support cognitive function? I believe lion mane might be one of the best functional mushroom to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lion's mane is incredible for brain health in general, and that's because it contains haricinones and erinacins, which can stimulate the production of nerve growth factor in the brain. So this is needed for the growth of neurons and the repair of the neurons, but also for the myelination of them. And actually, by enhancing nerve growth factor, this can help to support memory, focus, and cognitive performance. And actually for athletes, this means better decision making during a race, but also sharper focus during training. And actually Hephaestus lion's mane extract is a real high potency extract, which has a lot of the haricinones in there. So it's a really concentrated amount of that, and that can help with supporting brain health and then cognitive performance.
Yes, wow. So it's not just about physical strength, it's also about that mental sharpness. So, is there any studies about the lion's mane?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So studies have shown that lion's mane can improve memory, but also reduce cognitive decline. So, for example, there was a 16-week-long trial that found that participants who were taking lion's mane extract experienced significant improvements in cognitive function compared to the placebo group. So it is a really good option for athletes juggling demanding training schedules. Of course, you've got work, you've also got family commitments as well. So it can take a real strain on your cognitive and mental health as well.
Fabulous. It sounds like a perfect hack for our mental support. Let's talk how athletes can integrate functional mushrooms into their daily routine.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick summary of what we've covered. So for energy and endurance, for training support, I think Cordyceps sinensis is a fantastic mushroom that's ideal to boost both energy and also to maximize lung function to increase VO2 max. And then for immune support and recovery, I would suggest both Cordyceps and Reishi, and these can help to support and balance the immune system function and help to speed up recovery, maybe from viral infections. And then for cognitive performance, the main mushroom is lion's mane extract. Yeah. So daily use can help to enhance focus and memory and really support brain health.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I think we need to add to our listeners that it's very important, the source of the from where we're going to get it. Yes. And then I believe the organic source is one of the best sources, right? And we need to, that's so important.
Yeah, and, it's all about quality. Yes. And I just want to point out that you really want to be choosing like a well-researched brand as well. And at Hephaestus, their concentrated extracts are really unique. They are backed by clinical research. Hephaestus actually invests 62% of their profits into research to prove both the safety and the efficacy. And they are certified organic. And actually, they go a step further. So they'll test for over 400 different contaminants. So they'll look for things like heavy metals, molds, pesticides. And this is to make sure that they're always pure and safe. And the other really important thing is that Hephaestus grow and produce their own mushrooms. So it means that they do have control over every step of the cultivation and production. And this is also to guarantee safety and quality. Plus, Hephaestus are GMP certified, and this means that they follow good manufacturing practice standards. And this means that, you're always going to get that quality and efficacy when you choose Hephaestus as a brand. And I'll also just add that when you have an extract, it's much more concentrated in the active biomolecules compared to when you have a powdered mushroom. So you really want to be looking for the amount of the terpene compounds on the labeling, the amount of the beta 1 to 3 and 1 to 6 D-glucans. Because actually some companies will grow their mushrooms from oats, and then, oats do contain a type of beta-glucan as well, but it's not the same as the beta-D-glucan that comes from the mushrooms. Well, actually, they'll include that in the amount of beta-D-glucans on the labels. So you want to be looking for the 1 to 3 and 1 to 6 chain D-glucans.
Wow, all that sounds so professional. It's hard to say any more, to be honest. So yes, Hephaestus for me is the best choice.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's really important to only go with the supplement brand that you trust.
Thank you so much for all those information. And like on the last thing, could you advise to our listeners what tips we can use to maximize our workload and also mental performance?
Yeah, so to maximize your exercise and cognitive performance, I would really focus on setting challenges, realistic goals, but being consistent with it. And also, look at maybe using mushrooms like Cordyceps sinensis to enhance your energy, to help with your VO2 max and to help you go further. And also to aid recovery using medicinal mushrooms, because they can be really helpful in preventing exercise-induced fatigue. And of course, we can't forget about how they can support the immune system by balancing the immune system and having that natural antiviral effect. So that will help athletes who maybe are training quite hard and are more vulnerable to respiratory tract infections. And of course, we can't forget about the stress of competing. So it's great to use these mushrooms. They're fantastic adaptogens for our mental and emotional health, to help with reducing stress levels and supporting a good night's sleep. And then you can even use mushrooms like lion's mane to really support your mental health and cognitive performance when you're training and competing, so that you stay mentally focused and sharp. So it's a really interesting episode, and I hope that you've gained a lot of insight from it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for all another big chunk of knowledge about functional mushrooms. I think we all need this, and I believe that biohacking is that what we can start at home. Biohacking is also that what we can take with our daily routine. So even if we're traveling or anywhere else, functional mushrooms easily can get into our baggage and travel with us, and we still keeping our routine. So yeah, it was amazing to listen all those informations and tips and hugs. So thank you so much again for coming and sharing with us. Great.
Thank you so much to Biohacking podcast. It's been a pleasure to be here today, and thank you very much, Adam, for having me as your guest speaker.